In California, fast food workers could soon see a $20 raise starting in April. I'm Mike Sparza with the full details coming up.
New, local, unique. MyTV53 News at 8 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to the San Joaquin Valley's only 8 p.m. news. I'm Giovanna Casanova. And we start with MyTV53's Marcus Esparza, who has tonight's big story.
$20 an hour raise for fast food workers happening in April.
So, as we already know, the state intends to raise the wage for fast food workers in California to $20 by April. And as we've already seen since January 1st of this year, due to the cost of living in some places of the state, we've seen minimum wage get raised to 16, 17, even 18 in some places. And since this will be heading towards $20 in a couple months here, it isn't necessarily a great thing for everybody. And what I mean by that is a good example everybody points to right now is McDonald's. You know, a lot of the things we grew up with being dollar menu items, you know, by virtue of that name, are no longer that.
Gavin Newsom signed a law this last September that increases the minimum wage to $20 an hour at the beginning of April. In the upcoming month of June, healthcare workers will earn $18, $21, or $23 an hour, depending on where they work and what healthcare facility employs them. Gonzalez Fletcher also stated the only way to keep up with inflation is to increase wages.
These big businesses not wanting to pay the wages to their workers have increased sales, you know, which in turn affects the consumers. And then they don't want to pay the workers this new ideal wage.
It must be also noted that when you raise the minimum wage, you also raise the standard of living. I'm Marcus Esparza with MyTV53 News at 8.
This past weekend, TCSO deputies rescued dogs from the Friant Kern Canal. On Sunday, TCSO deputies received a call that 3 German Shepherds were trapped in the Friant Kern Canal near Avenue 128. The dogs tried to climb out on their own, but slid back down the steep walls. Rosemer and Wall Incorporated employees were able to contain the animals until TCSO deputies and Tulare County Fire personnel arrived. They all worked together to rescue 2 of the dogs. The third deputies had to carry to safety because it was so scared. All dogs appeared to be in good health and were being turned over to the Tulare County Animal Control. Looking for your next DIY project that will benefit your community? Fresno TNR is hosting a seminar to help keep local feral cats safe these cold winter nights. Attend the seminar to learn how to make these inexpensive cat houses out of plastic totes. They will provide warmth and comfort for the needy cats in your neighborhood. The seminar will include written instructions as well as a live demonstration. Plus, there will be raffles, perfect for the cat lover in your life, including a cat house. This event will be held inside the Valley Animal Center Grand Lobby on February 10th at 2 p.m. This just in from Fresno Police. On January 10th, 2024, a male suspect sat next to the victim who was seated at the bus stop located at South Blackstone Avenue and Divisadero Street. After a few minutes, the suspect forcefully removed the victim's purse from her. The suspect proceeded to run eastbound toward Divisadero Street and P Street. The suspect appears to be a thin Hispanic male, adult, in his 20s to 30s. If you have any information, call Fresno Police. Late last week, we learned that a Fresno homicide suspect was arrested. The Fresno Police Department has arrested 44-year-old Alfred Samuels for the murder of Tayshawn Johnson. On Wednesday, January 17th, just after 1 p.m., Southwest officers were dispatched to Lee Street and Lorena Avenue for a shot spotter activation. Officers located 24-year-old Tayshawn Johnson suffering from a gunshot wound. Johnson was transported to CRMC Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased by doctors. During their investigation, homicide investigators identified Alfred Samuels as the person responsible for fatally shooting Johnson. Investigators served a search warrant at Samuels' residence, where evidence related to the crime was recovered. Questions remain following an overnight shooting in Clovis. On Friday, just after 10 p.m., shots were fired near Willow and National, wounding 1 person. Officers arrived within minutes following multiple 911 calls to find a juvenile who had been shot once. The juvenile sustained a non-life-threatening wound and was transported to the hospital where they were last reported in stable condition. Unfortunately, the juvenile is not forthcoming with information when speaking to Clovis detectives. Because of this, police are asking the community's assistance. If you have information regarding this incident near Willow and National between Ashland and Gettysburg, call Clovis PD. We are following more local news tonight, and reporter Gavin Martin explains what he's looking into. New tonight.
The City of Clovis, along with the Clovis Chamber of Commerce, a business organization of Old Town, have come together to bring back Clovis Restaurant Rewards. This is the second year of this program, as it launched in early 2023 to support local businesses and became very successful, bringing in over $220,000 into the local economy. So here's how it works and how you can take part in this. Every time you eat or drink at a restaurant, bar, or coffee house, make sure to save your receipts until you get to $100 worth of receipts. Because after that, go to the City of Clovis Administration Building where you can turn it in for a $25 gift card. You can start participating in this from now until February 12, 2024. And you can begin redeeming gift cards from February 1st through February 16th, 2024, or until funds are exhausted. Reporting for MyTV53 News at 8, I'm Gavin Martin.
Thanks, Gavin. New from our partners at Cal Matters tonight. Citing safety threats, California lawmakers are advancing a bill that would keep the property they own and other personal information from the annual financial disclosures off the internet. The measure, Assembly Bill 1170, would shift to an electronic filing system for the Statement of Economic Interest, known as Form 700, that elected officials and some public employees in California are required to complete each year. But a secondary provision proposes to expand the redactions on publicly available versions of the form, shielding the addresses of their filers' real property interests and businesses, though they would still be available upon request. You can learn more about this at calmatters.org. And finally, in your first few minutes of nonstop news at 8, Palestinian Americans are seeking changes from leaders in response to funding. Here's Democracy Now!'s Amy Goodman.
A group of Palestinian Americans asked a federal judge Friday to bar the United States from providing military, financial, and diplomatic support to Israel for committing genocide in Gaza. The Biden administration's asked the judge to dismiss the case, which was brought by the Center for Constitutional Rights. One of the lawyers in the case, Mark Vanderhout, spoke outside the federal courthouse in Oakland, California, Friday.
We are very hopeful. We think the evidence was overwhelming. The government, the administration did not even contest, really, that there was genocide going on. They just say, Judge, whatever is going on, whether it's 20,000 or 30,000 or 50,000 or 200,000 or 2.2 million people who are ultimately killed, you can't do anything, Judge. Nobody can do anything. The president can do whatever the hell he wants. And what do we say to that? We say, hell no.
In related news, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's urged the FBI to investigate pro-Palestinian protesters calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Without sharing any evidence, Pelosi claimed on CNN the protesters may have ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Pelosi said, quote, "For them to call for ceasefire is Putin's message."
Thanks, Amy. And that does it for your first few minutes of nonstop news at 8. We will have more news and weather, including your headlines for Kern County, right after this.
This is MyTV53 News.
Welcome back now to your big stories in Kern County for our viewers watching on KNXT. The Kern County Sheriff's Office has seen a continued increase of copper wire thefts in the rural areas of Kern County. On January 12, 2024, the Kern County Sheriff's Office Rural Crime Investigations Unit investigated a copper wire theft near the area of Stockdale Highway and Enos Lane. During the investigation, detectives located evidence showing Samuel Lane, 35, of Bakersfield, was involved in the theft and vandalism. On January 26, 2024, rural crime detectives, along with members of the Kern County Sheriff's Office high-intensity drug trafficking area, served a search warrant in the 1300 block of Castaic Avenue. During the search, detectives located approximately 200 pounds of cut copper wire, approximately 1 ounce of suspected methamphetamine, 16 firearms, and several live rounds of ammunition. Lane, along with Kylie Pierre, 28 of Bakersfield, were arrested and booked at the Lerdo Justice Inmate Receiving Center. You're invited! The City of Bakersfield, the Thomas Roads Improvement Program, and Caltrans will be hosting a public ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Centennial Corridor at 11 a.m. February 9th. More than $600 million project will connect Highway 58 to the West Side Parkway and Interstate 5. Well, it is time now for a new episode of Tailgate Talks with the Merced County Sheriff's Vern Wernick.
Hey, good morning on a brisk January day. We're out at Lake Yosemite. The Undersheriff, Corey Gibson, and I are out here. We're going to give you a couple talkings to. First one we're going to talk about is kind of the state of what's going on at the Sheriff's Office. And then we'll do another video based upon our needs and desires for knowledge regarding our CCW problems. So right now what we're going to be doing with regard to the Sheriff's Office is we're still in hiring mode. We're still desperately in need of personnel. And unless the County Board of Supervisors, I'm going to specifically spell it out, unless they decide to take this real seriously, we're going to continue to be in a decline. The federal penitentiary, I know one of the questions was, why does the feds pay so much more than the county? Well, folks, you got to remember, the federal government prints their own money, so they can do a lot of things. And the issue that we're having is that pay is obviously an issue. The other is the benefit package, and I don't know what else to do. We're at our wits' end. Undersheriff and I have been dealing with supervisors and folks from our CEO's office. It's not pleasant. I hate having to go down that road, but the bottom line is you guys asked me to do a job and I'm going to do it. So I'll do whatever necessary to do it. And the Undersheriff, like I say, and I have been dealing with it. So Corey, you got anything? Let's talk about.
No, I think we should talk about the current staffing numbers. So as of Friday, we'll have 20 deputy openings, and that's out of 98 allocated positions. So that's a pretty significant chunk of change when it comes to staffing from our agency. We'll be down to 8 detectives. And so we're looking at probably having to cut back services if we continue on this decline. We still have 10 to 15 staff members that are deputies that are currently looking for other employment. And then you ask them what the issues are, it comes down for infrastructure, benefits, and compensation. And so those are the things that they're really looking for. Correctional officers, as of today, we're 27 down out of 108 allocated positions. And then on dispatchers, we're down 4 out of 14 positions. And so those dispatchers are, even though we say we're only down 4, we have another 3 in training, and the training takes about a year. So you're looking at, only about half the allocated dispatcher positions are actually working staff members. So we still currently have hiring incentives. And so it's up to $10,000 for laterals, and then there's a variety of incentives below that for correctional officers and for deputy sheriffs. So anyone interested, we're desperately looking for staff. I do applaud the county. They did reach out to the different bargaining units after your last plea to the board, and they gave an 8% raise to the sergeants and above. That didn't include us two, but it included all the way up to captain.
Naturally didn't.
all the way up to captain. So I do appreciate that effort. They've made an agreement tomorrow. They're supposed to take an item to the board will be considering an item for a classification change for correctional officer to change them to custodial deputy, which will give them more peace officer powers and allow them to do some additional duties that are desperately needed. Unfortunately, they've also made the same offer to the DSA, but the DSA saying the 8%, which is over a 2-year contract, it's not substantial enough to keep people, and they want to have an ongoing conversation. Unfortunately, they're in contract, and there's no current discussions that we're aware of.
Yeah, you know, the other issue that we come to work this morning and a deputy turned in his resignation effective Friday. He's leaving the state. And who can blame anybody for wanting to leave this state? But the bottom line is we're going to be down another position for a deputy sheriff, and it just keeps on compounding. The problems we're having is compounding daily. You know, as administrators, you know, they don't expect us to do a lot of cop work, but we're out doing it. We have to. We've been going to calls, taking care of business as we can. It's just, you know, I know that the county's doing what they think they can do, but I also know that they could do more. And if they truly want to stop this hemorrhaging, they're going to have to do more, and it's going to have to hurt some other agencies within the county structure, not other agencies, so it's like cities. So,
hey, you know, what we didn't talk about is that, you know, we're down 20 positions, but unlike the last time we were in a real staffing crisis, we have another, I think, 9 or 8 deputies on long-term leave. So that's an additional on top of the 20 of those 98 positions. And the last time the county just gave a 10% offer straight across the board to try to stop the hemorrhaging, and this time they put the strings attached to it, and so that only it didn't. The DSA didn't agree to it, and so those are all things that would be beyond our control. Those are between the union and the county, but we're doing everything to advocate for compensation.
Enough about what we got going on here. So appreciate your time, Tailgate Talks, and I'll see you on the old trail with my white Ford.
Travis Kelce is going to the 2024 Super Bowl, and Taylor Swift couldn't be more excited for him. After the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Baltimore Ravens 17-10 in the AFC Championships on Sunday, Taylor went on the football field to congratulate her man. The 12-time Grammy winner was captured hugging and kissing her boyfriend as they celebrated the big win on the field of Maryland's M&T Bank Stadium. Fun fact, it's not pronounced Kelsey. It's been discussed that they've been pronouncing it wrong publicly for a long time. It's pronounced Kels. Anyway, Access Hollywood has more.
Travis Kelce is going to the Super Bowl, and Taylor Swift couldn't be more excited for him. After the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Baltimore Ravens 17-10 in the AFC Championship on Sunday, Taylor went on the football field to congratulate her man. The 12-time Grammy winner was captured hugging and kissing her boyfriend as they celebrated the big win on the field of Maryland's M&T Bank Stadium. Taylor has been a regular at Travis's games since September, and fans have been loving her support of Chiefs Kingdom. Last week, Swifties went wild when Travis sported Taylor's famous heart hands during the game, especially because he appeared to be gesturing towards the suite where she was sitting. But on Travis's recent episode of his hit podcast, New Heights, with his brother, Jason, the NFL star explained that he was absolutely sending a positive message, but it wasn't exactly romantic or even intended for Taylor.
Spread the love, baby. You always got to spread that love, baby. There we go. There we go. There was a lot of hate pulling up to that stadium, man. A lot of understand.
Yeah,
Billy.
I mean, it's a football game. It's
a football game. The Bills coming into their house, they want to make it rowdy. I just wanted to make
Gotta
sure
play
they
the
knew
mind
that
games.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure it knew it wasn't mutual. I don't hate you guys like you hate us. It's all love, baby.
They don't hate us.
It's
I
all
was with them. They love you.
During the new podcast, the brothers also revealed that Taylor hadn't actually met Jason until they sat together to cheer on Travis and the Chiefs that game.
The moment we got into the suite, I said, I'm taking my shirt off and I'm jumping out of that suite. And she said, Jason, don't you dare. And I was like, hey,
See, I'm thinking.
just letting you know
I'm thinking it's like that.
I'm not asking for permission. I'm doing this.
once a Kelsey man's determined, there's no stopping him.
And she was already telling me to be on my best behavior because we were meeting Taylor. So she's like, do not be on your best behavior. I was like, Kylie, when I met you, the first day I met you, I was blacked out drunk and fell asleep at the bar. This is part of the charm.
Thanks to Access Hollywood for that story. We have a brand new Cooking with Fresno Fire next in primetime. Finally tonight, we have a brand new Cooking with Fresno Fire Spotlight. This week, we bake with Battalion Chief Mike Gilbert. He made sourdough bagels with his wild yeast starter of 7 years.
So today, I'm gonna show you how to make bagels. I've got a wild yeast starter here that I've had alive now for 7 years, and we're gonna use that starter to create the fermentation of the dough. To start, we're gonna first mix the dough. We're gonna weigh out 848 grams of white high gluten flour. Now we're gonna do water. We use caster sugar, salt, diastatic malt powder, barley malt syrup. This sourdough starter, or a wild yeast starter, replaces the traditional dehydrated yeast that you would find in the grocery stores. Once those are all mixed, we're gonna stick it on the mixer, start it off at a slow speed. You can mix it by hand and knead it by hand as well. So I usually let this go about 8 minutes. And now it has to sit for approximately 4 hours. Get some flour on our work surface and work the dough out. First thing I'm gonna do is cut this dough into 12 equal parts. Now we're gonna shape them into the bagel shape. We need to take a piece, degas it, we're gonna flatten out a little bit, roll it up, and then we got a little log. You go ahead and start rolling them out, and then take one at a time and roll it from the middle out, wrap it around your hand, put the two ends together, and then roll them. And now you got a bagel shape. We're gonna put them on the tray, dust it with cornmeal. This ensures they don't stick. Now this tray bagel, I'll let this sit out for 2 hours to kind of puff up, and then it goes into the fridge for 12 hours. Next step now is to boil these. That's gonna get that chewy exterior. And it's about 45 seconds. They sit in there, and then you're gonna flip them. So we're gonna pull them out, and we're gonna let them drain on the wire rack. I'm gonna put them on the pan, which is gonna go into the oven. Black pan is where I'm gonna put the water. So the bagels are gonna go on top, get some of the boiling water, and carefully stick it in that pan and trap that steam in there.
Looks delicious. Let's get a final look at your weather. Our warm weather streak will come to an end by midweek. Expect cooler highs and lows in the upper 40s and low 50s. We could also see some more moisture, but we will keep you posted. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Giovanna Casanova. We will see you again tomorrow.